Dominique, I hate to go into 2021 yelling and screaming at you, so I'm not going to yell at you. We just go call this virtual school, okay? Virtual learning, like what my
Okay.
kids do. And here's the reason why I say LeBron James is the most accomplished ever. When you look at his body of work, right, individually, his individual accolades match up with the best of them, if not even better. But when you talk about a guy, when you talk about rings, and I'm not taking anything from Bill Russell, but this is not an individual sport. This is not boxing. This is not golf. This is not tennis, where winning championships define your legacy completely. This is basketball. This is a team sport. It don't happen that way. Does winning championship help your legacy? Absolutely. But when you look at everything that LeBron James has done individually on the court, he's probably going to go down as one of the greatest to ever do it. And then another word comes to mind, the word pressure. Pressure. No one has had the pressure of LeBron James. I keep telling people this. The pressure that this man has had since the age of 16, now he's 36. It's been 2 decades that he has had pressure. The pressure to fail, being called the chosen one. And no one could ever say that he's underachieved. He actually overachieved with the most pressure ever in the history of sports. And then when you talk about what LeBron James does off the court, always giving back to the community. The great Isaiah Thomas, who played for the Detroit Pistons, said it himself. Not only is he the GOAT, but he's probably the greatest to impact off the court. I'm not taking anything from Bill Russell, Kareem, all those guys that laid the foundation and did what they have to do during their era. But it's a different era. If you look at LeBron on what he did with more than a vote, he knew how important it was for African Americans to go out there and vote. He knew, he dug deep. He got a team together, a great team to form so we could educate all the African American communities that we grew up in about voter depression, et cetera, distractions, the way that they lied to us. So what he pulled off just in that was powerful enough. But the word pressure and LeBron James overachieving with the highest expectations, he's the most accomplished ever, Foxy.
Okay, I mean, I appreciate that you put us in virtual school and no longer yelling on first take. So I'm happy to participate in virtual school. You think you taught me something? Now I'm going to teach you something. So you said pressure is what's going to define how great LeBron James is. You talk about pressure. Bill Russell, someone broke in that man's house and pooped on his bed, and then he went and won a championship. Talk about pressure. Somebody under some sort of pressure, and the getting people to vote. Like, that's a great accomplishment. I'm not trying to take anything from LeBron James, but what Bill Russell was participating in was advancing the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act. He's participated in those things all together. So if we're going off the court, I think it's no competition. And again, if we're talking greatest, we could maybe be subjective about those sorts of things and talk about how the eras are changed and how the competition is different and its impact on the game. But to me, greatest is subjective. Accomplished is not subjective. Accomplished is about accomplishments. And they put the graphic up once before. Maybe they'll put it up again. There is nobody who compares to Bill Russell as far as accomplishments are concerned. And we saw, and when they were showing the video of LeBron James, we saw that man holding the Finals MVP trophy up. You know whose name is on that trophy? It's Bill Russell, because you know who showed up in those pressure moments? Look at those accomplishments. Nobody's even close. Kareem is the closest to having similar level of accomplishment, the most accomplished. Bill Russell, by far, bar none. Nobody has accomplished more in the game of basketball, and maybe the times were different. I agree with you. Maybe it was a little easier to win a title back then. That is true.
Yeah, it was really different. They only had about 8 teams then. But when you look at what LeBron James, if you put his individual accolades on the side of Bill Russell, it's going to blow him out the water. First of all, LeBron James is probably, by the time it's done, he's going to finish #1 in all-time points. He's going to finish probably top 5 in assists. He's going to finish with 10,000 plus rebounds. He's already setting records every day he steps on the court. So when I'm talking about Bill Russell, I'm not knocking what Bill Russell did. Winning championships is hard. He won 11 of them. But let's not forget, he also had a star-studded team throughout the 11. He also played with great players like that. I'm talking about that top 50 great players. So at the end of the day, I get what you're saying. His name is on the trophy. But let's not think that 20 years down the line, LeBron James' name won't be on one of these trophies or a trophy that's given out that's called the LeBron James Award. Right now, he's just active. He's a walking memorial. That's all it is. He's just active and playing.
You're absolutely right. In 20 years from now, I'll be willing to have this conversation again and reconsider if LeBron James is more accomplished. And you won't get any debate from me on whether the talent is higher or that it's more challenging to win a title today than it was back then. Like, I believe that to be the case. And that's why LeBron James, in my view, is the greatest player of all time. But you can't separate those two things. But it's not the most accomplished.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Foxy, what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you keep bringing up the 11 championships, right? That was your main focal point from the start. All I'm saying was that you put LeBron James back in that era and watch how many championships he would have won when people was around here dribbling with one hand, doing this stuff here, couldn't even do a Euro step. Don't come telling me about back then. I don't want to hear that. What I'm telling you right now is that this man at the age of 16 was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, labeled the chosen one. He was set up to fail coming into the NBA as an 18-year-old. Here we are at the age of 36, 2 decades later, and he's still going, and we still having conversations about this man and what he's doing on the basketball court. No man has done this most and still going at this period of time for his longevity like LeBron James. He probably won't finish for another 5 years.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.